So I see some new wood. Can you tell me, please, what's going on
Yeah.
in this?
This
area?
is my, this is actually going to be Riverside Yard, which is the far west portion of the new layout. I did not have that yard. It will go down past where the fence work stops. It will loop on down and make a return loop where all those boxes are stacked. And I've stacked those there so I get the feel for having that blocked out as layout. It'll loop around once and then come back into this area about this height and be the west end staging. So I have the east end staging here, the west end staging here, and this will be about the last of the visible railroad. There'll be a little bit more past it, but this is pretty much the end. So this is what we've been working on currently. Rather than getting the other things running, we're just building more.
Sure, that's how it's going. But then you come back, so it's not boring, build new,
Right.
and you're fixing the old stuff.
Right. So there's a lot of decisions to make.
Absolutely, and
Track plan.
And you're changing them constantly.
The physical end of the main line
Okay.
is behind this scene. You can see the viaduct that just stops. And then just to the right, these pieces that are laying here, these are from the old layout, and they will be fitted into that, and it will continue down as a raised viaduct for another 4 or 5 feet from there to somewhere in here, and then it'll go back to earth and down on a slight grade. So these structures are just here to get them out of the way. I'm going to try to fit some of these into the scene, but the main line will come on down and around and over to this last peninsula we just looked at. That'll be the end of the western portion of the railroad. Really haven't worked out where I'm going to put all those structures yet. This is a branch that was on the old railroad, and it's in a quite different situation. And it went another 15, 20 feet to your right, which I don't have that much room, so when I rebuild the piece that's not here, it will be a little smaller. But this piece is pretty much intact. This big warehouse is in the old video. It was one of the last things we had done before we
Yes.
took the layout down. And I managed to get it back up in one piece. It was a lot of reconstruction there. A lot of windows had popped out and things with the move. And we got, work on get the street back in shape and the scenery, but basically it's intact. And then from this point where you are now to the left, there's a lot of changes, a lot of additions. The cold storage and all that are new. And then the back layer by the buildings were on the old layout, but this front piece here is new. And it made it kind of wide, actually too wide. I think I can do what I have to do, but that's why I have that tall creeper, so I can lean over this to work on track maintenance.
Nice. Want to ask you about that backdrop. That's new, correct?
Yes, it's
Okay.
not sticking well. Well, go ahead, we'll
No
see
problem.
those pieces
Yeah.
curl. The rest of it has, actually. Should know better than to put backdrop directly on masonite, because as the weather changes, the masonite expands, contracts, and no matter how well you glue the backdrop, so you really need to glue the backdrop onto a piece of cardboard and
Then
then tack that on with something like a rubber cement so it can float a little. I will fix this one that's curled down, and there's a few others that are loose, but this is a Canadian company, can't think of their name, that sold these backdrops. And I had those on the last, some of that was on the last layout, but these are some that I hadn't used mostly. And they're very nice, but they're printed on a water-based printer, so you can't use any water around them or they run.
I
Colors
see.
Run.
they look like realistic because of kind of like smearing. Yeah.
Now the behind the buildings is is some painting that John Listerman, local modeler, was on the old layout. The Cincinnati Union Terminal building in the backdrop, and then the first layer of buildings with the black windows were painted on, and then I just glued this backdrop
Nice.
onto it to extend it.
Yeah,
It came out fairly nice. I still have some work to do.
I'm focusing on that kind of 3 dimension going to the just the wall. It looks great, man. Yeah. Oh, I remember this. Oh, that's what's my favorite part.
Yeah, this is
From
Sanford
all
and Son scrapyard, and
right. So nice.
yeah, where the locomotives are on the main line, what used to be in that portion of the old layout is the scene down at your way far left down there. That was those buildings were there. So there's a lot of things that have moved, but I'm reusing them.
Right.
Just had to move, change. Just had the geography changed, the space, shape of the space just changed a lot.